Okay, so sige, start tayo, no? And may recording na pala. Anyway, so last time we were able to discuss discuss last time, yung formation ng ions, di ba? So we are able to cover how ions are formed, no? And we just realized that ions are formed when atom loses electron in order to imitate the electron configuration of your noble gas, no? So ginagaya nila yung noble gas, that's why they lose electron or they gain electron, no? So yun lang yung idea. And what else do we know? The group of your atom in your periodic table corresponds to the valence electrons, no? So kunwari your atom is in group 1, that means it will have 1 valence electrons. Kunwari, nasa group 7 siya, it will contain 4, ano ba sinabi kong group? 7, di ba? Nalilito na ako. So, pag nasa group 7 siya, it will have 7 valence electrons, no? Kung nasa group 4 yan, it will have 4 valence electrons. Then, ano pa yung nalaman natin? We realize that metals do lose electron, no? So, sila yung nawawala ng electron because they really don't like electron that much, no? For the reason that the metal atoms are far enough to reach the noble gas configuration. Masyado silang malayo sa noble gas configuration. Parang they will gain lots of electrons pa along the way. Unlike non-metals, no? Yung non-metals, they really love electrons because onting step na lang, noble gas na sila, no? So that's why non-metals accept electron, hence they are negatively charged. And metals lose electron, hence they are positively charged, no? Then what else? Ano pa yung nalaman natin last time? In case na ang iyong atom ay parehas non-metal, anong ginagawa doon? So, walang naglo-lose, wala rin nagigain ng electron. Instead, anong ginagawa nila? They will share the electron. No? So, they share the electrons based on the principle of the octet rule. No? Octet rule states that there should be 8 electron for the s and the p orbital to be filled. No? So yun, so walang nagbibigay, walang tumatanggap, nag-share lang, no? So pinagsasaluhan nila yung electron in the form of chemical bonds, no? So we have single bonds, double bonds, triple bonds, no? For each bond that corresponds to 2 electrons used, no? So yun. Through those bridges, no? Through those through those chemical bonds, no? The electron can travel from one atom to another. What else, no? Depending on your electronegativity, there could be an uneven displacement of electron. Because remember, the more electronegative your atom is, the more it will pull the electrons. No? So depending on the difference of electronegativities, we can have 3 types of bonds: the polar, covalent, the non-polar covalent, and the ionic bonds. No? Yun yung electronegativity difference na natin last time. So yan. So yun lang naman yung kailangan natin i-cover. No? So I believe naman sa laboratory nyo kay Sir Mac, nakapag-Lewis na kayo. No? As much as possible, Lewis. No? So Lewis and the violations of the octet rule and the molecular geometry, no? Nakaabot na ba kayo natapos nyo na yung buong chapter? Tapos nyo na ba, guys? Hello po. Natapos nyo na yung until molecular geometry sa lab? Anyone? Di pa po. Sige. Saan pa lang kayo? Saan na kayo bale? Lewis structures pa rin. Okay. So, sige. So, anyway, ano lang naman yun, So, yung na-discuss naman natin last week, that's enough, no? For you to do the Lewis structures, no? Kasi separate rules naman doon, no? So, yun. Ang quantum numbers pa lang kaya. Sige. So, ang goal ko kasi is, yun nga, I will create additional YouTube videos this week, no? Provided na wala akong lab classes, no? So, I have plenty of time to create review materials kasi malapit na yung exam nyo, no? So, that is separate sa ating class recordings kasi yung class recordings natin, hidden yung file, no? Through the link lang siya ma-access, no? So, yan. Yung mga public videos na yon, yun yung pwede nyo gamitin for the review kasi around 3 weeks na lang, midterm yun na, no? So, yun. Okay, so anyway, so let's proceed with nomenclature. Ito mabilis lang to and pretty much alam ko na-cover nyo na to nung high school, junior high and senior high, no? So i-cover natin ulit, no? So mabilisan lang to and yung PowerPoint natin na gagamitin is not the chapter 3, instead yung chapter 4. Kasi mas kumpleto dito yung numbers, no? Mas kumpleto yung details. Yan. So anyway, so we'll start our nomenclature, meaning naming, no? And the chemical formulas, no? So dito natin i-apply yung pagkuha ng formulas using the crisscross ng charges, no? So and so on and so forth, no? Okay, so again, pretty much self-explanatory lahat tong slides na to, no? So you can download the PowerPoint chapter 4, andun na yung mga rules na. So, more on memorization na lang to ng rules na. Okay. So, our objective here is yon. Number 1, to be able to write the rules, no, of ions and molecules, no. Itong second objective, hindi siya kasama dito. Ay, hindi. Kasama pala to. Okay, so our objective here is to identify the naming rules for ions and molecules and how to derive formulas and names, no, given yung isa sa dalawa, no. So yun, alamin natin yung mga rules, no. So anyway, so balikan natin yung ions, no. So when we say ions, we have two different types of ions. We call the positively charged atoms or ions the cations, no? So, sila yung mga positives, cation. Pag negative charge, ang tawag ay anion, no? Then, what else do we know? The positives are attracted to the negatives, no? So, positive, pag nag-attract yan sa negative, they will form ionic compounds, no? Okay, when positively charged attracts to negatively charged, they form ionic compounds, no? Okay. So ngayon, ang goal natin is how to name them now. So in naming ionic compounds first, we have to be able to know the name of your cation and your anion name now. So kailangan, alam mo yung pangalan ng cation mo, alam mo rin yung pangalan ng anion mo. Then later on, we will combine them to make the complete name for your ionic compound now. Okay, so ibig sabihin, dalawa yung i-cover natin, no? Yung cation name muna, then yung anion name na. Okay? So, punta tayo sa cation. Okay. So, we have few simple rules in naming cations, no? So, number 1 is that cations formed from metal atoms bear the name of the metal itself, no? So, this rule applies to metals of representative element, no? Representative group. Sir, ano ba yung representative group? Yun yung group 1 to group 8 na VII. Ay, no. So yan yung mga representative groups natin. Yung mga metals that can be found on the S and P orbitals na. So yun, pag nakita mo sila sa S and the P orbital, you will name the ion as the name of the metal itself, no? Kunwari, nakita mo si potassium, naging ion siya. Ang name niya ay potassium pa rin, no? Or potassium ion. Kunwari, si sodium, nakita mo siya. So sodium is in the S orbital, no? Or the S block elements. So its name will be sodium lang, no? Calcium, nasa S block din yan. So the name is calcium pa rin, no? Or calcium ion. Then magnesium, it is in the S block, no? So its name would be magnesium ion or magnesium lang. No? Similarly, aluminum. Si aluminum nasa P block element. No? So we name aluminum as aluminum ion. No? So pag naging aluminum ion yan, yan. So yan. Ang aluminum na. So yan. So basta ang name ng ions that are found on the representative groups, the S and the P blocks, you name them as the name of the metal itself. No? Okay. So again, no, kung nakakalimutan asan yung representative elements or nasan yung S and P blocks, ganito lang na. So andito yung S block, no? Ibig sabihin lahat ng metals dito ang pangalan ay yung pangalan ng metal mismo pag naging ion. No? Kunwari, si francium, naging ion yan. Eh di francium ion. Radon, naging ano siya, naging ion. Ang pangalan niya magiging radon ion. Barium, pag naging ion yan, ang pangalan niyan ay barium ion. Scandium, and ang pangalan niyan ay strontium pala to. So, itong strontium, pag naging ion yan, ang name niya ay strontium ion. No? So, yan. So, lahat yan, you just copy the name, no? Potassium, rubidium, strontium, calcium, magnesium, punta tayo ng P block, aluminum, ion, no? And so on and so forth, no? So, yun. Gallium ion, germanium ion, no? So, yun yung idea, no? So, kapag ikaw ay nasa representative group, the name of the ion is the name of the metal itself, no? Sir, paano mo malalaman yung charge? Positive 3 to, positive 2, positive 1. Again, your charge corresponds to your group. No? So kapag group 1 yung iyong metal, it will bear a positive 1 charge. No? That's why potassium and sodium are positive 1 in charge. Kasi nasa group 1 sila, nasa first column sila sa periodic table. So similarly, si calcium, ganun din, no? Nasa second column naman sila ni magnesium, hence their charge are positive 2, no? Then aluminum, siya ay nasa group 3. So its charge will be positive 3. Okay? So ganun yung naming, no? You just copy the name of the metal if it is found in the representative group, no? Group 1 to 8, no? And syempre, we are pertaining to groups 1 to 3 lang. Na. Pero when we say representative group, yun yung mga nasa S and P orbitals na. Or S and P blocks na. So yun, so easy lang, di ba? Okay. Sir, paano kapag nasa D and F block? No? So let's say iron. So ganito kasi yung case. No? For elements in the D block and the F block, no? Asan sila? Ito yung D block, ito yung F block. So let's consider iron. No? So iron. Check natin. Ito tayo sa oxidation states. By the way, when you say oxidation states, that correspond to your charges. Okay? So look at the oxidation states of iron. Ang dami. No? But the most prominent here is 3 and 2. No? So that means our metals in the D and the F orbital, no? They usually contain multiple charges, unlike the S and the P orbitals na. Sa S, ito positive 1 lang yan. Ito positive 2 lang talaga. Pero pagdating sa D, halo-halo na yung charges natin. Na. So again, what's the point? The point is, in the D and the F orbitals, we have multiple charges for one metal. Okay? So iba yung rules doon. No? So ito yung sabi, some metal ions can have more than one charge, no? Especially those in the transition metals. No? So in naming this, in naming them, no? Ganito lang ang pag-name. No? So you copy the name of the metal and you enclose a Roman numeral with a parenthesis, no? To indicate the charge. No? Bakit kailangan i-indicate yung charge? Because again, important yung distinction ng charges, especially when we create chemical formulas na, which is makikita nyo mamaya-maya na. Okay, so yan. So kunwari, we have iron. We have 2 charge and 3 charge, no? 2 plus and 3 plus. So we cannot name them as iron lang. Pag pinangalan mo yung iron, hindi mo alam kung positive 2 yon or positive 3. Similarly, kung yung copper, pinangalanan natin copper lang, we cannot distinguish if that's copper positive 1 or copper positive 2, no? And pag magkaiba yung charge kasi, they exhibit different properties, no? So, kailangan specific ang naming mo. Okay? So, for transition metals na may multiple charges, how do you name them, no? So, ang sabi dito, you copy the name of the metal, which is iron, then you enclose a Roman numeral with a parenthesis, no? So, this is 2, so you write Roman numeral 2, capital Roman numeral 2, no? So, iron 2, that pertains to Fe2 plus. Okay? Iron 3, that pertains to Fe3 plus. So, what can we notice? There is now a distinction between the two ions. Again, important that we distinguish one ion to the other. So, makita natin yung difference nila. No? So, that means yung name, kailangan makita yung difference doon. Okay? Kasi kapag iron lang yan, masyadong vague, no? So, hindi tayo magkakaunawaan. Anong iron ba yung gusto mo? Hindi ko alam, no? So, yun. Kaya kailangan ilagay natin yung charge, no? So, copper plus, no? So, copper plus, meaning yan, copper 1, no? 1 yung charge niya eh. Copper 2, meaning nun, copper 2 plus, no? Cu2 plus, no? And so on and so forth, no? So, let's say, kunwari, let's have chromium 3 plus, chromium 6 plus, no? So, paano yung papangalanan? You just copy the name of your metal, then you enclose in your parenthesis the Roman numeral. Roman 3, then dito 6, no? Vi, chromium. Okay, so that's how you name them, no? You copy the name of the metal, and the charge, no, should be indicated with a Roman numeral enclosed in a parenthesis, no? So, yun. So, important yun, ha? Again, so ano yung difference niya with this rule, with the previous rule? So, the previous rule tells you that if the cation of the metal, no, is isa lang yung charge, no? Usually, those atoms in the representative group, no? So, you name the ion as the name of the metal itself, no? Kasi yung potassium, wala yang positive 2, no? Wala yang positive 3, plus 1 lang talaga yan, no? Same with calcium. Wala siyang calcium plus 1. Wala siyang calcium plus 2. Most of the time, it's 2 plus talaga, no? So, yon. So, we do not need to distinguish their charges na dito. Kasi already understood na depende sa group, yun yung charge, no? Yung parang yung sa ions natin, yung mga valence electrons, no? Understood na yun dito, no? Na yun talaga yung charge nila. Pero, for d orbitals, no, let's say the transition metals and the inner transition metals, no, they have variable charges. Iba-iba yung charges nila. So, we have to account for that, no, for the variety, no. So, yan. This is the first rule, no. So, yan. This is sometimes called the stock method, no. Okay, stock method, no. So this is mostly widely acceptable in chemistry, no? Ako, I prefer this, no? Kasi we can see the charges, no? Nari, sinabi, iron 3. Alam mo, ang formula nun, Fe3+. Nari, sinabi sa'yo, chromium 6, no? Meaning nun, Cr6+, no? Parang automatic na yung charge sa isip mo, no? Okay. So that's the stock method, no? This is widely used in chemistry, no? Pero, may older versions, no? We call this the common method, no? Or the common name method, no? So, ano yung common name, no? So, ganito, no? So, there are metals that only contain 2 charges, no? Yung common charges nila ay dalawa lang, no? So, sabi dito, we can use their old name, pwedeng yung Latin name nila or the old equivalent, no? Followed by the suffix us and ik, no? So the suffix us will indicate the lowest charge. The suffix ik will indicate the highest charge, no? So paano 'yon, no? Ito yung common name method, no? So remember, we name this as iron 2 plus, iron 2 ion, 'di ba? Ito iron 3 ion, no? So another way of naming these two is using the us-ik system. The us and the ik system, or the common name method. No? So paano sir yung common name method? Ito yung sabi. No? So according to the common name method, you have to derive the old name of your metals. No? For example, si iron, the reason that's why in Fe, bakit Fe yung kanyang atomic symbol, is because its old name is ferrum, no? So, yan yung old name niya, Latin name, no? Similar yan sa ibang atoms dito sa periodic table. Kunwari, K. Bakit yung K? Kasi ang original name niya ay, calcium. Hindi yan potassium dati, no? Calcium yan originally. Kaya K yung potassium. Yung mercury, Hg, no? Hindi naman kasi mercury pangalan yan dati. Ang pangalan niya ay hydrargyrum, no? Hydrargyrum, no? So, yun. So, may mga lumang name kasi, no? So, yun. Kaya tawag dito common name method. Yung mga ginagamit ng mga lumang tao. No? So, yun. So, again, paano yung common name method, no? You obtain the old name of your metal, Fe, meaning nun, ferrum. Kunin mo yung root word, no? When you say kunin ang root word, you just remove the suffix For example, for ferrum, the root word will be fer, F-E-R-R. Wala na yung For copper or cuprum, the root word is cupper. Wala nang na. Tatanggalin mo yung mga na yan. No? So, that's how you get the root word. No? Okay. Then, ano yung dudugtong mo sa root word? No? Sabi dito, we use the suffix us and ik. No? So, the suffix us will tell you that that ion has the lowest charge, no? Yung us. Pag ik naman, yung highest charge, no? So, tingin ulit tayo dito. So, let's have a look, no? So, Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus, no? Okay, ba't gumagalaw? Okay. So, Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus. Sino yung mas mataas ang charge? Of course, yung positive 3. Yung pinakamababa sa dalawa is yung positive 2. So, that means, since positive 2 is the lowest charge of the two, it will bear the suffix us, no? For positive 3, it will bear the suffix ik, no? So, in naming Fe2 plus, we can use the root word fer, then the suffix us, no? Us indicates that this is the lowest charge, no, of the two. So, the name of Fe2 plus will be ferrous ion, no? So, may ferrous ion na yung kanyang name. How about the 3 plus? Again, the 3 plus is the highest charge, no? So, instead of using us, we will use the suffix ik. Ik meaning mataas, no? So, yun. So, ano yung magiging resulting name niya? Fer plus ik meaning ferric, no? So, yun, ferric. Meaning, yan yung iron na mataas yung charge. Fe3 plus yun. Ferrous, ito yung iron na mababa yung charge. Fe2 plus, no? So, ano yung technique dito? You obtain the old name, usually the Latin names, no? You remove the you get the root word, no? Pag kukunin yung root word, tanggalin nyo lang yung no? Yung mga sa dulo, no? So, tanggalin mo yung mga you will get your root word, no? Ferrum, no? Then, you use the suffix us and ik, no? This only applies kapag dalawa yung common charge, no? Again, dalawa lang yung pwede. Sir, paano kapag tatlo yung pwede? Hindi na pwede yung dito, no? Hindi nagagana tong rule na to, no? Okay, so yan. This only applies for ions that have two different charges, no? Okay, so yan. So, yung lowest of the two will bear the suffix us. The highest of the two will bear the suffix ik, no? So, fer plus us meaning Fe2 plus ferrous. Fer plus ik meaning Fe3 plus ferric ion, no? So, ito. So, we have copper then, no? Copper. And cuprum siya, you remove the you have copper, no? Then, dalawa yung charge niya, positive 1 and positive 2 lang naman, no? So, ano gagawin mo? The lowest charge will bear the suffix us, the highest charge will bear the suffix ik, no? So, ano na lang gagawin mo? You combine the root name with the suffix. Cuprous that pertains to copper with positive 1 charge. Cupric that pertains to copper that bears the positive 2 charge now. Okay. So again, so ganun lang. Ano yung technique, no? Kailangan dalawa yung charge. 2 charges only. Kapag sumobra, this rule will not apply, no? Hindi siya pwede gamitin. Sir, ano gagamitin namin? Ito yung previous name, no? The stock method, no? So in stock method, you can use multiple Roman numerals naman, no? Okay lang yon. Kasi Roman numerals lang naman yung gagamitin natin, no? Yun lang yung magbabago. So, the stock method can accommodate different charges, no? So, dito yung, siya yung pinaka versatile sa lahat ng naming system, no? Kasi wala siyang us pati ik, no? Wala tayong ginagawang comparison. In contrast with the common name method, no? Sa common name method, may ginagawa tayong comparison eh. The lowest and the highest charge. So, sir, paano yung nasa gitna? Walang name for that, no? Kaya nagawa itong stock method, no? Okay, so itong common name, ito yung mga lumang names, no? For example, yung iniinom yung supplement, ferrous sulfate, no? Yung ferrous doon, meaning nun, Fe2+. Kaya lasang bakal yung ferrous sulfate, no? Ayan, may bakal doon, Fe2+. Ferrous, meaning ng ion doon ay Fe2+, no? So, yun. So mapapansin nyo, makikita nyo to sa mga gamot, no? Kasi mga gamot, matagal na yun eh, no? Lumang methods pa lang ng science, meron na tayong mga gamot-gamot, 'di ba? So, yun. Pero, in modern science, we use the stock method because it is more concise, no? And more straightforward, no? Kasi pag sinabi mong iron 2, meaning nun, Fe2+ agad, no? Unlike kunwari, sinabi mo ferrous, mag-iisip ka, ano ba meaning ng ferrous? Yung us lowest o lowest siya. Pero gaano ka low yung lowest? Positive 1 ba? Positive 2? Positive 3? Hindi mo sure, 'di ba? So yun yung downside na to. Kaya I don't like the common name, no? Hindi mo alam yung charge. Basta alam mo lang, yung us, mababa yung charge. Yung ik, mataas yung charge. Pero yung numerical equivalence niya, hindi mo alam, no? Hindi mo alam kung positive 2 ba yan, positive 3, positive 4. Wala na. Nangyari sa akin yun eh. Kalimutan ko. Yung quiz ko yun nung high school naman. High school pa ako nun. 14 years old, 15 years old na. Kinakabisado na namin to eh. So sabi ko, hala, ano nga pa pangalan nito? Yun. Nagkamali ako sa item na yan. So kaya I hate this system, no? Pero we use this in medicines, no? So tanggapin na lang natin na nag-e-exist siya. Okay? So yun lang naman, no? So tatlo na yung rules natin. So number 1 rule, representative groups. The name of the ion is the name of the metal itself, no? Ano yung representative group? Yung mga nasa S and the P blocks, no? If your metals can form multiple charges, no? More than one charge, andito na tayo sa second rule, no? So second rule, sabi niya, we can differentiate the charge by using Roman numerals, no? So ayan yung metal name mo, iron, iron, copper, copper, chromium, chromium, no? And you just include the charge using a Roman numeral, no? Kunwari, 2 plus yan, lagay mo 2. Kunwari, ito 3 plus, lagay mo 3. So on and so forth, no? But there is an old method, which is the common name method, no? This only applies pag dalawa yung charge, no? Pag tatlo yung charge, X yun, no? So, hindi gagana to. So, ano yung meron sa old method, no? We use the Latin name or the old name, the root name, no? Then we follow it by the suffix us or ik, no? Us indicates the lowest charge, ik indicates the highest, no? So ganun. Mamaya may examples tayo dito, don't worry. Okay. So another rule, no? So this is the last rule for your cations, no? So last rule for cations. Most of the time, your cations are metals, no? Pero there are cases that non-metals can form cations. Yung mga non-metal, makakagawa din sila ng cation. No? So, how can we know, no, na ang cation mo ay non-metal? Makikita mo yon if they will bear the suffix -um, no, ium, no. So kapag nakita mo yung cation name na ium, ibig sabihin nun, cation yon na non-metal. And don't worry, dalawa lang sila, no. So ano na lang kailangan nyo gawin? Kabisaduhin nyo na lang, no. Kabisaduhin na lang natin yung dalawang ito. Parang mabilis, no. So the first cation na non-metal is H+, no. So that is derived from hydrogen atom. If hydrogen atom loses an electron, its charge will be positive, no? Magiging H+ siya. Okay? So what's the name? The name is hydronium ion. No? Hydronium. Saan galing yung hydron? Hydrogen. No? Yung ium na yan, meaning niyan, siya ay cation na non-metal. No? Basta makakita kayo ng ium, cation yun na non-metal. No? So this is the first one, hydronium, H+. No? Kabisaduhin nyo na lang yan. NH4+. No? So NH4+ is derived from ammonia, NH3. If it gains hydronium ions, no? Kunwari, nadagdagan siya ng isang H+, ang magiging name niya would be ammonium. No? So ammonia, pag dinagdagan ng hydronium, magiging ammonium. NH3 yan originally, di ba? NH3 yan originally. Lagyan mo yan ng isang hydrogen, no? Hydronium ion. So, ano mangyayari? NH4, then positive charge, no? So, we add the charges, no? 0 plus 1, edi positive 1, no? So, ammonium is derived from ammonia with hydronium ion, no? So, ganun. So, dalawa lang yan. Kabisaduhin nyo na lang, no? And better nga if you have a copy of the PowerPoint kasi yung rules na to as is na yan, no? So, wala na tayong gagawin dyan masyado. Wala nang changes, no? So, tanggapin na lang natin yung rules na yan, no? Okay, so, ay, ano nangyari? So, tapos na tayo sa cation. Ibig sabihin, malapit na tayo matapos sa class, no? Okay, so again, paano nagne-name ng cation? 4 na rule. So, ano yung 4 na rule? First rule, you name the ion of the metal using the name of the metal itself, no? This applies if your metal is found on the representative group. Pag nasa S and P orbital siya. Pag nasa transition metal, rule number 2 tayo dyan, no? Rule number 2, ano sabi dyan? Yung stock method. So, in stock method, you can name your ions with multiple charges, no? Using the name of the metal followed by a Roman numeral with parentheses, no? Indicating the charge, no? Kunwari, Fe2+, edi iron 2. Kunwari, chromium 3+, meaning chromium 3. Kunwari, chromium 6+, that means chromium 6, no? May chromium 5 pa nga eh. Chromium plus 5, no? So, paano papangalan natin yan? Edi chromium 5, no? Chromium V, no? So, yun yung stock method, no? You just copy the name of the metal and yung charge, ilalagay mo sa parentheses, no? Important ilagay yung charge, no? Because different charges can result to different substances, different properties, no? Okay? And rule number 3. Sometimes, no, your metal can only form 2 charges, no? So, kapag dalawa lang yung charge, pwede mo rin siya i-name with a common name method, no? So, ano yung sabi sa common name method? You get the Latin name or the root name, no? Yung old name nila, and you affix the suffix us and ik, no? The us will indicate the lowest charge. The ik will indicate the highest charge, no? So, for example, Fe2+, old name is ferrum. You get the root name, which is fer. Then, suffix, no? So, iron usually produces 2 charge lang naman eh. Positive 2 and positive 3. So, if that is positive 2, that is the lowest charge, no? So, that means you will use the suffix us. Ito, ik, no? Kasi positive 3, siya yung highest sa dalawa. So the name is ferrous for Fe2+, ferric for Fe3+. Ano yung downside? Pag nakalimutan mo yung number sa charge. Alam mong us siya, alam mong lowest siya, pero hindi mo alam kung ano yung number, no? So, yun yung pangit dito, no? And yun, kapag multiple yung charges, again, sabi ko nga, hindi na siya gagana, no? So, kapag multiple charges, more than 2, ito yung gagamitin mo, yung rule number 2 or the stock method. Kapag dalawa lang yung charge, edi use the common name method. Then, fourth rule, ika-4 na batas. Mamaya, may ika-6 na utos na tayo. No? So, ano yung sabi sa ika-4 na utos? No? So, the fourth rule tells us that our cations can sometimes be formed with nonmetals. No? So, when our nonmetals become cations, we use the suffix "-um". No? And dalawa lang naman sila. So, just remember them. H plus, the name is hydronium. It is derived from hydrogen. Ammonium, NH4, it is derived from ammonia, NH3. No? So, yan. So, kabisaduhin na lang natin yung dalawa. No? Okay, so, halfway na tayo in naming ionic compounds. No? So, that means medyo malapit na tayo sa ionic compounds matapos. No? Okay. So, alam na natin yung cation eh. Now, we will proceed with anions. No? So, anions, ito medyo maraming rules dito. Marami siyang ganap. No? So, the first rule is ito. If your anion is monoatomic, then it will have the suffix "-ide" or "-ide". No? Para siyang Japanese, no? "-ide". No? So, yan. So, paano mo malalaman kapag monoatomic? No? If your anion only contains one atom, no? For example, H minus, O negative 2, Cl minus, Br minus, no? So kapag iisang atom lang ang iyong anion, that means you have monoatomic anion, no? And again, how do we name them? We use the suffix "-ide", no? So paano 'yon, no? You just get their name, for example, hydrogen, no? Then you remove the last part of the name, then you attach the "-ide", no? The "-ide". Yung hydrogen magiging hydride, no? So ano na lang 'to, case na lang 'to ng pagandahan sa tenga, no? Kasi puwede rin namang hydrogenide, no? Hydrogen plus "-ide", hydrogenide, no? Kaso ang sagwa niya pakinggan, no? Hydrogenide, no? So ginawa na lang nilang hydride, no? So yan, para mas maganda sa tenga, hydride, no? Okay, so yung ano na lang dito, yung naming rule ay arbitrary na lang, no? So yun yung pagkasunduan nila eh, hydride, no? Hindi siya hydrogenide, ha? Okay. So kunwari, O minus 2, ang pangalan ng atom ay oxygen, no? So the anion name will be oxide, no? Hindi siya oxygenide, no? You just remove the last part of the name, no? Yung mga N, N, no? EN, EN, no? Palitan mo ng "-ide", no? So yun, oxide. Para ito, chlorine. Pag naging anion yung chlorine, Cl minus, its name will be chloride, no? Hindi siya chlorinide, no? So, pangit pakinggan eh, no? So, yan na lang. Tanggapin na lang natin na ganyan yung naming nila, no? Para maganda rin pakinggan, di ba? So, yan. So, hydride, "-ide", meaning nun, that is hydrogen na anion. Oxide, that means monoatomic oxygen na anion. No? Chloride, meaning nun, monoatomic chlorine na may ion, no? Meaning may charge. No? So, yan. So, yan. So, arbitrary na lang yung naming dyan, no? Pagandahan ng pandinig sa tenga, no? Pagandahan ng tunog, no? Okay, so that's the first rule in your anions. Monoatomic anions will have the suffix "-ide", "-ide", no? Practice pa tayo dito, no? So, kunwari, dito tayo sa P. Kunwari, yung nitrogen, naging anion yan. Hindi yan magiging nitrogenide, no? Ang pangit ng nitrogenide sa tenga. Instead, its name will be nitride, no? Nitride, no? So, kunin mo lang yung, tanggalin mo yung ogen, no? Kunin mo yung niter, then add the suffix "-ide", nitride. Phosphorus, ganun din, no? Hindi siya phosphoruside, no? Ang sagwa sa tenga. Its name will be phosphide, no? Tatanggalin mo yung dulo, yung orus, no? Palitan mo ng ide, phosphide. Sulfur. So, hindi siya sulfuride, no? Ang pangit sa tenga. So, its name will be sulfide instead, no? Si carbon, pag yan ay naging anion, pwede maging anion yan, no? So, pag naging anion si carbon, hindi yung carbonide, no? Its name will be carbide, no? So, usually, tinatanggal yung mga on sa dulo, no? Yung mga on, mga ogen, mga orus, no? So, yan. Mga in, no? Ginagawang ide, no? So, yan. Pagandahan na lang sa tenga yung batas, no? Okay. So, that's the first rule in naming anions. Pag nakakita kayo ng ide, ide, that means your anion is monoatomic. Okay? Next rule, no? Sumunod na batas. Okay, so in the next rule, we will have polyatomic anions. No? Kanina, di ba, monoatomic? Ngayon, polyatomic anions. No? When we say polyatomic, that means your anion contains more than one atoms. No? So, pwedeng dalawang atoms, pwedeng tatlo, pwedeng apat, pwedeng lima. Depende sa trip ng atom na or trip ng molecule na. Okay. So, this is the common polyatomic anions. We call them deoxyanions. No? So, again, what are oxyanions? They are polyatomic ions with oxygens. No? So usually they can be found, no, in this form: NO3, NO2, SO4, so on and so forth. No? Okay, so yan yung mga common versions niya. So again, polyatomic anions with oxygens, we call them oxyanion. No? Oxygen na anions. No? Okay. So anong mga ganap dito? They usually bear the suffix 8, no? So ayan, kung kanina kapag ide, monoatomic, kapag 8 and ite, no? That's oxyanions, no? Or polyatomics, no? 8 and ite, no? Ano yung sabi dito? So usually, the suffix is 8, no? For the common oxyanion. And ite if it is one oxygen less than the common. Okay, so tignan natin tong table na to. So more on memorization lang to talaga, no? So you can download the table now. No? You can download the PowerPoint chapter 4 lab. No? So andun na lahat ng rules. No? For example, we have NO3, NO2, SO4, SO3. 2 negative na. So NO3, anong note dito? For NO3, the suffix is 8 because it is the common oxyanion. So, common daw kasi yung NO3. So, it will bear the suffix 8, no? Okay, so tingin tayo sa NO2. Ano yung sabi dito? For NO2, it will bear the suffix ite, no? Because it is one oxygen less than the common. Again, the common oxygen for nitrogen na oxyanion ay tatlong oxygen, no? So, tatlo yung oxygen ng common. Kapag yan nabawasan ng isa, if it is 1 oxygen less than the common, kunwari naging 2 oxygen na yan, pag naging 2 oxygen na yan, the suffix will be ite, no? Okay. Siguro yung question nyo dyan, sir, paano namin malalaman yung common? Nasa next slide yan, no? So, wait lang tayo. So, nasa next slide yung mga common. No? So, yun. Dito muna tayo. So, again, the common will have the suffix 8, no? So, paano natin ito papangalanan, no? You get the name of the first element, no? Nitrogen. Kunin mo yung root word nun. Yung NITR, niter. Hindi yung ogen, no? So, kunin mo yung root name, nitrogen, niter. Then, you add the suffix ate. Nitrate, no? Nitrate. So, yun yung common na nitrogen oxyanion. Okay? With 3 oxygens, no? So, nitrite. Dito naman tayo sa nitrite. No? So, ganun pa rin. You just get the root name, niter. Hindi siya nitrogen. No? Niter lang yung kukunin mo. Then, you add the suffix ite. The ite indicates you that this ion, this molecule, is 1 oxygen less than this one, the common. No? So, ito yung common. So, tignan mo, no? Dito, we have 3 oxygen. Dito, we have 2 oxygen. So meaning yan, this is one oxygen less than the common now. So its suffix will be ite. No? So yan, nitrate, then nitrite. No? So dito naman tayo, SO4. No? Ang SO4 daw, sabi dito, it is the common. So the common for sulfur na oxyanion ay 4 oxygen. No? 4 oxygen yung common niya. Hence, that will bear the suffix ate or 8. No? So paano natin papangalanan to? No? You get the root name of the first element, sulfur, sulf. Sulf yung kanyang root name, ha? Sulf. Then you add the suffix ate, sulfate. No? So meaning nun, sulfur oxyanion yon na common, which is SO4. No? So yan, memorize na lang natin yung formulas and names na. SO3, tignan nyo, ano yung difference nila? SO4, may 4 oxygen. Ito yung common. SO3, tatlo yung oxygen. Less 1 oxygen siya, di ba? So again, ano yung sabi natin? Pag 1 oxygen less than the common, we use the suffix ite, not the ate. No? So ite, because it is 1 oxygen less than the common. So instead of naming this as sulfate, we name this as sulfite. No? Yan, so on and so forth. No? Don't worry. Yung mga names na binibigay ko, yun na rin yung gagamitin natin. No? So yan. Then may summary table ako sa dulo na nilagay para may cue card kayo. No? So yun. It will take time for you to memorize this. No? Oo. Pero I know some of you are already familiar, pero you can still pick, no? Wala rin, nagko-quiz kayo. Pwede nyo buklatin tong PowerPoint so you can check kung tama yung naming nyo, no? So, yan. Okay, so that's the oxyanion rule, no? So, that's the first oxyanion rule. Ito pala, these are the following common oxyanion that you have to remember. So, kabisaduhin na daw natin tong mga to, no? Okay, so the common oxyanion for carbon is carbonate, CO3. Na? So CO3, ang name niya ay carbonate ion. -2 yung charge. Na? So yan, photographic memory na lang yan. Ano yung note dito? Does not have ith counterpart. No? So meaning nun, carbonate doesn't have any 1 oxygen less than it. No? So yan na siya. Siya lang yan. No? Siya na lang mag-isa. That means walang ganito, no? Walang ganyan na. Walang carbonite, no? Walang ganyan na. So, walang carbonite tayo. Carbonate lang ang meron. Okay? So, kabisaduhin nyo yung formula. CO3, 2 minus, -2. Ano? Nitrogen. Nitrogen oxyanion. The name is nitrate, no? The formula is NO3. And ito, pwede siya magkaroon ng 1 oxygen less than 8, no? Which is yung NO2. Ano yung name ng NO2? Since it is 1 oxygen less than the common, the name would be nitrite. No? Nitrite na yung magiging name niya. Okay. PO4, phosphate. No? 3 minus yung charge niya. This is phosphorus na oxyanion. Phosphate. No? Ito yung common, PO4. So, remember the subscripts, no, and the charge, no, important yan eh. PO4, -3, phosphate, no. So, phosphate naman, this can have an ith counterpart, no. May ith counterpart yan. So, meaning, pag binawasan natin to ng isang oxygen, ang magiging formula ay PO3, -3. So, the name of this counterpart, no, this 1 oxygen less than this, no, ang name niya ay magiging phosphite, no. So hanggang dyan lang meron, hanggang phosphite lang and phosphate, no. Again, learn the difference. Ate kapag common, ito na yung mga common, naka-table na. Ite kapag 1 oxygen less than the common. This is 1 oxygen less than the common. This have 3 oxygens. Ito may 4 na oxygen. So 1 oxygen less than the common to. So we will use the suffix ite or ite. No? Oh, keep in mind that. Next one, sulfur. Sulfur oxyanion, the common is sulfate. The formula is SO4 negative 2. Again, sulfate can have an ite counterpart, no? May ite counterpart siya, no? Which is SO3 minus 2. Ang name yan ay sulfite, no? So, yan. So binibigay ko na yung mga names, ha? So, more on memorization na lang siya. So, sulfate, ito yung sulfate. Pag nabawasan niya ng isang oxygen, magiging SO3, negative 2. The name will be sulfite. No? So, yan. So, yan. Nitrate, nitrite, phosphate, phosphite, sulfate, sulfite. No? Ang difference ay isang oxygen. Yung charge, hindi natin siya gagalawin because as is na yan. No? So, standard na yung charge na yan based on the Lewis structure. No? So, yan. Then last one, the last common oxyanion, chlorate. No? So when you say chlorate, this is the oxyanion of chlorine. No? And it has 3 oxygens. No? Ito yung common niya, 3. Pero ano yung sabi dito? This is extendable up to 4 versions. Ibig sabihin, may dalawa pa other than the ite counterpart. No? So ibig sabihin, pwede siya magbago ng 3 oxygens. No? So, ano yung 4 versions na yon? So, tingin tayo dito. Next rule. Don't worry, dito lang siya nag-a-apply, no? So, medyo special siya. Okay. So, let's look at this table. So, ito yung ClO3. This is our common. So, ang tawag natin sa kanya ay chlorate, no? If it is 1 oxygen, no? Pag binawasan natin yan ng oxygen sa common, we will have ClO2, no? Tignan yung difference ng oxygen. Isa, di ba? Ito 3, ito 2 na ngayon, no? So, that means we will change the suffix, no? So, this name will be chlorite instead of chlorate, no? Kasi chlorite, bakit siya chlorite? Kasi 1 oxygen siya less than the common. 3 yung common, 2 ito, so it will bear the suffix ite, no? So, yan, just remember this, no? Chlorite, ClO2 minus. What else, no? Let's have this, no? Tignan natin itong nasa taas. If we add another oxygen to the common, we will use the prefix per, no? Bukod sa suffix na ate. So, we will add per pag nagdagdag tayo ng 1 oxygen sa common. So, again, ano yung difference niya sa common? This one on the top, no? Siya ay 1 oxygen more than the common. Ito yung common. Ito yung 1 oxygen more than the common. So, pag nadagdagan ng isang oxygen, we will use the suffix per, the prefix per, no? And you will copy the name of the common ion, no? So, yun. Lalagyan mo siya ng per. Meaning, nadagdagan pa siya ng isang oxygen. Kaya per chlorate, no? Then, dito tayo sa pinakababa. What can we notice? The ite version, yung ite, 2 oxygen meron siya. Pero, we can remove another oxygen. Pwede na naman tayo magtanggal ng isang oxygen. So, the formula will be ClO minus. No? So, ano napansin natin? Ang ClO, the ClO is 1 oxygen less than the ite. No? Ibig sabihin, nabawasan siya ng isang oxygen kaysa sa ite. No? Ito yung ite, di ba? ClO2. Nabawasan ng isang oxygen. So, paano natin papangalanan nun? You just affix the prefix hypo. Meaning ng hypo, nabawasan siya ng isang oxygen sa ite version, sa ite version. No? So, ano yung antas ng pagkakasunod-sunod? No? So, yung arrangement ng naming ay ganito. Chlorate, yung 8, ito yung common. 1 oxygen less than the common, ite. Pag yung ite, nabawasan ng isa pang oxygen, hypo and ite, no? Okay, so hypo and ite. Pag yung ite, nabawasan pa ng isang oxygen, ang magiging name niya ay may hypo na prefix, no? And the ite suffix, no? Balik ulit tayo. 8, no? So, chlorate. Pag ito nadagdagan pa ng isang oxygen, ang magiging name niya ay madadagdagan ng prefix na per. Per meaning nun, super, may sobrang isang oxygen, no? So, perchlorate, no? So, one oxygen more than the common. So, yun yung pagkakasunod-sunod, Common, ate. One oxygen less, the common, ite. Another oxygen less, hypo, ite, no? Tapos, ito yung common ulit. Balik tayo sa common. If we add one oxygen more, per ate, no? So, yun. So, you just keep them in mind, no? Pero, again, as I told you, the names here are yun na yun, no? So, ito na yung mga gagamitin nating names, no? So, you can remember the rules or you can memorize the names, no? Or both. Kayo bahala, no? So, yun. Pero I know familiar kayo dito sa naming na to. Kaya, recall na lang. Okay? Patapos na tayo dito sa ating anion, no? Last rule for anions. So the last rule for anions is this one, no? So if we have anions derived by adding H+, again H+ is hydronium ion, no? To an oxyanion, we can name them by adding the prefix, by adding the word hydrogen or bi or dihydrogen. Ano lang sabi nitong text na to? Sabi dito is that, remember, you have your oxy and ion. Let's have carbonate, phosphate, for example. So if we add hydrogens to our oxy and ions, and then we ended up with another anion, no? Then may name for that, no? Okay, so ano yung meaning nun? No, tingin tayo dito sa formula. Let's say carbonate, CO3, 2 minus. Pag dinagdagan natin yan ng H+, ano yung magiging resulting molecule? So, ilalagay mo yung H, kopyahin mo yung CO3. So, the formula is HCO3. Then, ano gagawin mo sa charge? No? Negative 2 plus 1. No? So, ipag-add mo yung charges ng carbonate and dihydronium ion. So, negative 2 plus 1, negative. No? So look at this molecule, HCO3. This is an ion. An ion yan, no? Kasi negative charge pa rin eh. Nag-add tayo ng H pero negative pa rin. So an ion yan. So how are we going to name this molecule? So dalawa yung ways, no? You can add the word hydrogen. Bakit ganyan? You can add the word hydrogen to your oxyanion name, no? Ito yung oxyanion name. So, 'di ba carbonate on CO3? Pag naglagay ka ng H, no, H+, magiging hydrogen carbonate 'yan. So, that's one way of naming it. Or you can use the prefix bi, no. Bicarbonate, yung nasa baking soda, no, yung ginagamit sa panluto. So, ito yung formula ng baking soda, HCO3, no, minus, no. So, yan. So, bi or hydrogen ang ginagamit if one hydronium ion lang ang dinagdag, no? So, sulat natin dito. 1H plus dinagdag, we will use hydrogen or bi. So, i-affix mo iyan sa iyong oxy and ion, no? So, ayan. So, let's have this phosphate, PO4, negative 3, no? If we add hydronium ion, anong mangyari? I-add mo lang yung hydrogen sa formula, then yung charges, ipag-add mo. So, this is 3, this is 1. Pag pinag-add mo yan, negative 3 plus 1, negative 2, di ba? So, this is an ion pa rin. Negatively charged pa rin yan. So, paano in-name kapag isang hydrogen yung dinagdag? We use the hydrogen or the bi prefix, no? So, yan, hydrogen phosphate o kaya biphosphate. HPO4 minus 2. Also, we can add another hydronium ion kung possible, no? So, pag magdadagdag tayo ng isa pang hydronium ion and we still ended up with an ion, meaning negatively charged pa rin yung molecule mo, then, may isa pang naming doon, no? Dihydrogen na yung prefix na ilalagay mo, no? Okay. So, look at this phosphate, no? Pag isang hydrogen yung dinagdag, hydrogen or bi yung dinudugtong sa name. Pero kapag nagdagdag ka ng another hydrogen, ano mangyari? Magiging dalawa na yung hydrogen, yet the charge is still negative, no? Negative 2 plus 1, negative, no? Okay, so ano man papansin nyo? Dalawa na yung hydrogen natin, yet an ion pa rin siya. So ano yung magiging name niya, no? Since we have two hydrogens here, we will attach the name dihydrogen na lang, no? So yan yung rule for that, no? Ito question. For bicarbonate, can we add another H plus? And pangalanan natin siyang dihydrogen carbonate. Pwede kaya yon? Tignan natin, no? So if we added another H plus to HCO3 minus to our bicarbonate ion, ano magiging formula? H2CO3. Ano mangyayari sa charge? This is negative 1, this is 0, this is positive 1. So if we add the 2, we will have no charge, no? So the question is, ang pangalan ba nito ay dihydrogen carbonate? Will it follow this rule? The answer is no. Bakit no? Because again, we are pertaining to anions, no? Dapat may charge pa rin yan pag nag-add ka ng H+. Pag wala ng charge yan, pero nagdagdag ka ng H+, hindi nagagana yung ganitong rule, no? X na yung ganyang name. So, yan na. So, hindi lahat kaya yung dalawang hydrogen, no? Karamihan kaya isa, yes. May mga bicarbonate, biphosphate, bisulfate, no? Pero, onti lang yung kumakaya ng dalawang hydrogen. Okay? So, yun yung rule, ha? Pag nagdagdag ka pa ng isang hydronium ion, tas nawala yung charge, wag mo susundin yung rule na to. Because again, this rule is specific for an ions. Okay. So, yan. So, natapos na tayo. Tapos na yung rule, no? So, kung ewan ko sa inyo, kung gusto nyo magkabisado ng rule, andito yung mga names na, no? I mean, kung gusto nyo magkabisado na lang, andito yung rule, andito yung names, no? So, pwede nyo yung kabisaduhin, pwede nyo tignan-tignan. Pwede rin naman, kabisaduhin nyo na lang yung mga rules na sinabi natin, no? Okay, so, kaya malaya kayo sa topic na to, no? You have the freedom to choose whether to memorize or to remember the rules, no? So, yan. So, yan yung summary. Ito yung mga ions na ginagamit sa chem, no? So, more on kabisado na lang or familiarization. Okay, so let's recall anions. How do we name anions? Number 1, first rule, monoatomic anions will have the suffix ide, ide, no? Isang atom lang yan, pero negative yung charge. Ang suffix ay ide. Polyatomic ions with oxygen, which we call oxy anions, no? We name them with the suffix ate and ite, no? So, 8 is added, no, for the common oxy anion. Ito yung mga common oxy anion. So, kabisaduhin natin yung limang yan, no? So, these are the common oxy anion, no? But if we deduct one hydrogen, pag nabawasan niya ng, isang oxygen pala. If we deduct one oxygen dito sa common, ano mangyayari sa suffix? Instead of ate, magiging ite na siya, no? From nitrate, magiging nitrite. From phosphate, magiging phosphite. From sulfate, magiging sulfite, no? So, yan. Remember that, ha? Then, third rule, ikatlong batas, no? Sabi ng third rule, we can extend this to 4 versions, no? Specifically for ClO3, no? So, remember, ClO3 is our common. We name it as chlorate. Pag si chlorate, binawasan ng isang oxygen, ClO2, ang name niya would be chlorite, no? So again, every one oxygen less, ite ang magiging suffix. If we add one oxygen to the common, we will use the prefix per. So, nadagdagan kasi siya ng isang oxygen, no? Ito, 3. Ngayon, 4 na siya. So, the name will be per, then the name chlorate, no? So, balik ulit tayo sa chlorite, no? Pag yung chlorite, binawasan mo na naman ng isang oxygen, you will add the prefix hypo. Hypochlorite, no? Meaning nun, nabawasan na naman siya ng isang oxygen, no? So, ganun. So, ano yung hierarchy natin? Hierarchy. Ate, yung common. Ite, 1 oxygen less than the common. Meaning, nabawasan siya ng isang oxygen. Bawasan pa natin ng isang oxygen. Mag-minus ulit tayo ng isa pang oxygen. We will use hypo and ite. Balik ulit tayo sa common. If we add 1 oxygen na naman, we will have the per prefix, no? So, yun, the per and the ate. Okay? So, yun, you can remember that or memorize kayo bahala, no? And last rule, ika-4 na batas sa anions is that if you add hydronium ion to your oxyanion and you still ended up with an ion, meaning no, nagdagdag ka na ng H plus pero negative pa rin yung molecule mo, then ano gagawin mo, no? You add the prefix hydrogen or bi or dihydrogen. So again, yung carbonate, if we add 1 hydronium ion, magiging HCO3 minus. Bakit naging negative na lang? Because we added the charges. -2 plus 1, negative, no? So since we only added 1 hydrogen, the name will be hydrogen carbonate or bicarbonate, no? Phosphate tayo. Let's add 1 hydronium ion. So the formula will be HPO4 -2. What happened to the charge? We added +1 and -3. So naging -2. So since this is another anion, we will name this as hydrogen phosphate or biphosphate. Pag isa lang yung hydrogen na dinagdag. Paano kapag dalawa? Let's add another hydrogen. So adding H plus to our biphosphate, we will have H2PO4 minus. No? So again, this is an ion. No? An ion uli yan. So how are we going to name this? If you added 2 hydrogens, then you will have to use the word dihydrogen. No? Meaning dalawang hydrogen na yung dinagdag. This rule will apply provided that your molecule is an anion. No? So meaning negative charge pa rin yan. So ibig sabihin nun, may limitation yung pag-add ng H+. No? So kunwari dito, nagdagdag na naman tayo ng H+, nawala na yung charge, no? Kasi -1 plus 1, 0. So ibig sabihin nun, hindi na siya an ion. Iba na yung rules for that, no? So X na yan, no? Hindi gagana ang ating rule for that, no? So yun, in summary, you can use this table to memorize or to be familiarized na lang. So kayo bahala, no? Choice nyo yan, no? So yan. Okay? So yan. So since we are able to identify the name of your cation and the name of your anion, pwede na tayo mag-name. So paano uli nagne-name? We name, paano? Pangalanan mo muna yung cation, then you add the anion name, no? So cation plus anion equals the name of your ionic compound, no? Okay. So ngayon, alam na natin yung naming rules. Ito yung sunod na question. How do we write the formula for ionic compounds, no? Paano sinusulat yung ionic compound formula? 'Di ba last time ang pinagawa ko sa inyo, yung tuldok-tuldok, 'di ba? Kunwari, ito. Si aluminum, binigay niya yung 3 dots kay nitrogen. So, since tig-isang atom lang yung kailangan para maging complete yung octet nila, ALN yung kanyang formula, no? Okay, so ganun. Pero, this time, hindi na natin gagawin yung dots, no? Siyempre, level up tayo. So, how are we able to get the formula without doing the Lewis dot yung Lewis dot symbols, no? Paano natin malalaman yung formula nang hindi gumagamit ng dots, no? syempre kailangan mag-level up tayo. So, ganito lang, no? So, ang tawag ko dito ay crisscross, no? Ayan. So, the right proportion of cations and anions can be done by crisscrossing their charges. So, paano yung crisscross, no? Kunwari, ito yung cation mo. Let's say, ito yung positive number. Ito yung anion mo. Ito yung negative number, no? So, paano yung crisscross dyan? You will copy the superscript or the charge of the cation. Yan yung ilalagay mo as subscript ni anion. So, yun yung crisscross, no? Yung charge ni cation magiging subscript ni anion. Yung charge ni anion, yun yung magiging subscript ni cation, no? So, ganun. Ipagko-cross lang natin yung numbers, no? So, yung exponent neto magiging subscript netong kabila. Yung exponent neto magiging subscript ng kabila, no? So, yun yung crisscrossing. Okay? Okay, so let's have one. So, let's try to determine the formula of NaCl. So, this is Na plus. This is Cl minus. So, look, no? So, positive 1. Ayan na. So, positive 1 yung exponent ni Na. So, that means we will bring down the 1 kay Cl. Kay Cl naman, negative 1 yung exponent. So, that means we will bring down the exponent 1 kay Na. Yung number lang, hindi kasama yung positive or negative, ha? So, yung number lang yung ililipat, no? So, hence, we will have Na1, Cl1. Okay? So, ano yung tip ko dito? We do not write the subscript 1 kasi obvious yon, no? So, kapag 1, meaning nun, may isang atom na dyan, no? So, kapag 1 yung iyong subscript, burahin mo na lang, no? So, the final formula will be NaCl, no? So, paano uli? Again, Na plus Cl minus. Yung 1 dito sa Na, ililipat mo kay Cl. Yung negative 1 ni Cl, yung 1 doon, ililipat mo sa baba ni Na. So, ano magiging formula? Na1, Cl1. Kapag 1 yung subscript, burahin mo na lang, no? Erase the subscript because it is obvious already, no? So, the correct formula is NaCl. Paano yung name, no? How to name this formula? Na is a metal which is in the s orbital. So, we will name the metal ion as the metal itself, no? So, ang name ng Na ay sodium. Ang Cl, yan ay monoatomic anion. Cl minus, monoatomic anion yan. So, ano name ng Cl na anion? Chloride, no? So, this is sodium ion, chloride ion. Pag pinagsama, sodium chloride, no? So, yun. So, sodium, ito yung name ng cation. Chloride, ayan yung name ng anion. No? Keep in mind yung rules, no? Another example, calcium ion and bromide ion. No? Ca2 plus, calcium ion yan. Kasi nasa s orbital siya, di ba? So, the name of the metal is the name of the metal itself. No? The name of the ion is the name of the metal itself. Okay. So, yan. So, Ca, ang name niyan ay calcium ion. No? Si bromine, since siya ay monoatomic anion, isang atom lang naman yan. So, we will name this as bromide. No? So, the name will be calcium bromide. No? So, yan yung name niya, calcium bromide. No? How about the formula? So, look, calcium has a positive 2 charge. No? Yung exponent na 2, ilalagay natin sa baba ni bromine. So, yun, ilagay ko na dun sa baba na. Yung 1 dito sa exponent ni bromine, ilalagay natin sa baba ni calcium. So, we will have Ca1Br2. Again, yung 2 sa exponent ni calcium, ilalagay sa bromine as a subscript. Na? Okay, so yan yung formula. So, burahin mo na lang yung 1. So, you will have CaBr2. No? Another example. So let's have another example. Ang bilis ng oras. Malapit na matapos yung class. Okay, so another example. Let's have barium 2 plus and oxygen 2 minus. So what is the name? Ba2 plus, the name is barium ion. O minus 2 o O2 minus, the name is oxide ion. No? So ano gagawin natin sa sa name? E di pagsamahin lang. This is barium, this is oxide. So the name is barium oxide. No? So how about the formula? Again, yung exponents gagawing subscript, no? Itong 2 gagawing subscript doon, itong 2 gagawing subscript doon. So Ba2O2. Again, ano gagawin sa subscript, no? If possible, you reduce the subscript to the lowest term, no? Kapag divisible 'yan, i-divide mo sa 2, no? Ba2O2, we can simplify that as BaO, no? So 'yun. So BaO ang mangyayari. Okay? So ganun, always reduce the subscript if ever possible, no? Okay. Okay, so yun lang. Just keep in mind the correct charges, no? So hindi ibig sabihin na BaO yan ay 1 kay oxygen, 1 kay barium. Hindi Hindi meaning nun ganun, no? Hindi ganun yun. Ang reason lang bakit naging tig 1 yan is because we reduced it to the lowest terms, no? So, kailangan nasa isip nyo na yung barium, 2 plus pa rin yung charge. Yung oxygen, negative 2 pa rin yung charge, no? Okay? So, yun. Okay, so ito naman. Paano naman kapag may polyatomics tayo, no? Polyatomic ions. So, ang gagawin mo kapag may polyatomic ions ka is ganito, no? So, yan. Ako tip ko sa inyo ganito, no? Lagyan nyo ng parenthesis, no? So, kunwari, you have NH4 and PO4. No? Ginagawa ko dyan, ay place parenthesis, no? Yung charges nasa labas. Okay? So, ganun. You place parenthesis, yung charge nasa labas. Okay? So, para careful tayo. Okay. So, balik ulit tayo. Nilagyan ko na ng parenthesis. Yung positive 1 na charge ni NH4, ilalagay natin yon as subscript ng PO4. The reason why nilagyan ko ng parenthesis is because sa labas dapat ng parenthesis yung charge, no? Because there are some students na minumultiply yung charge dito sa number dito, no? Kunwari, 1 times 4, edi 4 daw. Sabi ko, ano yun, no? Magugulat ako pag ganun, no? So, wag ganun. Lagyan nyo ng parenthesis, no? Tapos, saan nilalagay yung number? Sa parenthesis sa labas, no? Okay? Kunwari, positive 1 yan. So, pag positive 1 dyan, yung 1 dyan, lilipat mo sa baba dito, sa labas ng parenthesis. Hindi sa loob, ha? Pag sa loob yan, magagalit ako. So, kailangan sa labas. Bawal yan eh. Bawal sa loob. Okay? So, let's have this. PO4, 3 minus. Etong 3, ilalagay mo ito sa subscript sa labas ng parenthesis ni NH4. Subscript siya, pero nasa labas, no? NH4, parenthesis 3. Never yung NH4 times 3. Kasi may gumaganon dati eh. NH12 daw. Ako naman nagugulat ako. Sabi ko, hala, ano yan? No, wag ganyan. So, ano gagawin? Sa labas lang ng parenthesis, no? Hindi i-multiply. Okay? So, yan. So, be careful. Sa labas ng parenthesis nilalagay, hindi sa loob, no? Kaya ako nagpapalagay ng parenthesis initially. So, this is our formula. Parenthesis, NH4, close parenthesis, 3, parenthesis, PO4, close parenthesis, 1. Okay? Kapag 1 yung subscript ng ating parenthesis, we can remove that, no? Pag 1 lang yan, pwede mo na burahin yan, no? Kasi understood na isa lang yon. Pero kapag 2 yan, wag mo burahin, no? So, yan. So, since 1 lang yung subscript niyan, you can erase the parenthesis. So, you will have the final formula, parenthesis NH4, close parenthesis 3, PO4, no? So, that is the name, no? Okay? So, yan. So, yan. Ano yung mga notes ko? Pag polyatomic ions, lagyan ng parenthesis and the subscript. is outside the parentheses, never inside. Wag sa loob, no? Okay? Then, paano yung name niyan? The name of this ion is ammonium, no? NH4+, no? Ito yung rule number 4, di ba? So, yan, kailangan memorize nyo. So, this is ammonium ion. This is PO4, 3 minus. Ano yung name niyan? Yan ay phosphate, no? Remember the common oxyanion, ha? So, ano yung magiging name ng molecule na NH4, 3PO4? The name will be ammonium phosphate, no? Okay, so ganun lang. Ganun yung naming and ganun yung pag-predict ng formula. Okay, so yun lang. Mamaya may worksheets tayo, no? Sige, practice tayo. Onti lang. Yung ibang videos about naming, siguro upload ko na lang sa YouTube because kulang tayo sa time. And ito na yung second meeting for this chapter. So, yun. Bibilisan na lang natin, no? So, let's name the ionic compounds, no? Ito na lang. Identify the formula, no? Okay, so sige. So, I will answer just few problems, no? Mga dalawa lang. Yung PowerPoint naman, ganito yung itsura ng PowerPoint eh. Meron siyang answers na, no? Pag dinownload nyo yung PowerPoint, may answers na yung PowerPoint sa baba, no? Nasa notes siya. So, yun. Teka lang. Paano ko ba mapapakita sa inyo yan? Ayan. So, ito yung PowerPoint. Pag dinownload nyo yan, click nyo yung notes. Ayun yung answers, no? So, andito siya sa right side. So, yun. You can practice on that, no? So, nilagay ko na yung answers kasi. Okay. So anyway, so I will start with 1 and 2, no? So yan na lang. Identify the formula. Ferrous, no? Di ba dalawa yan? Ferrous, ferric, no? Alam ko yung ferrous ay Fe2+, no? Yan yung ferrous. Yung sulfate, SO4, -2, no? Yan yung charge niya. So, paano ko malalaman yung formula? Paano malalaman? Criss-cross. So, criss-cross. Ano ginagawa sa criss-cross? Yung number sa exponents, ginagawang subscripts, di ba? Again, kapag may polyatomic ions ka, lagyan mo ng parenthesis, no? So, yung 2 dito, ilalagay mo sa labas ni SO4. Yung 2 dito, ilalagay mo sa baba ni Fe. So, what will be the final formula? The final formula will be Fe2 SO4, 2. Again, yung 2 nasa labas ng parenthesis, hindi sa loob. Huwag niyo i-multiply yung 4 times 2, 8, no? Huwag ganun. Magagalit ang lumikha ng ng chemistry, no? So, yan. So, sa labas ng parenthesis. And look, no? Tignan nyo. Yung subscripts natin ay 2 and 2. We can reduce this to the lowest terms, no? Pag yung subscripts ay reducible, i-reduce natin. So this is divisible by 2. So the final formula will be Fe1 SO4 1. Or kapag 1 yung subscript, you can just remove it, no? So the final formula will be FeSO4, no? So yun yung magiging final formula for this one, FeSO4. Yan. Mag-upload pa ako ng videos about naming, no? Pati Lewis structure gagawin ko rin, no? Don't worry, until midterm yung ginagawang kong videos para perfect nyo. Strontium. Strontium, ano kaya yung ion yan? Nasa ano siya? Nasa s orbital, second column. Group 2 atom yan. So, Sr2 plus yung charge niyan. Nitrogen, basahin natin, nitride. Ano meaning ng ide? Monoatomic, no? So, monoatomic na nitrogen an ion yan, no? So, anong group si nitrogen? Group 5. So, ang group 5, ang charge niyan ay -3. Kung nakakalimutan nyo yung charges, ganito, no? Pag nakalimutan nyo yung charges, group 1, +1. Pag group 2 yan sa periodic table, +2. Pag group 3 yan, +3. Pag group 4, pwedeng plus minus 4 yan. Pwedeng plus, pwedeng minus, depende sa trip, no? ng iyong molecule. Pag group 5, negative 3 yung charge. Group 6, negative 2 yung charge. For example, yung oxygen. Group 7 sa periodic table ay negative 1 yung charge. Na. Yung group 8, walang charge. 0. Na. Ayan, pag nakalimutan nyo, no, alalahanin yung corresponding charges per group. No. Okay, so this is our charge now. Nitrogen is in the 5th group, so negative 3 yung charge niya. Strontium is in the 2nd group, so positive 2 yung charge niya. Then what else? No? Yung exponents, ginagawang subscripts. So, yung SR, may 3 sa baba. Yung N, may 2 sa baba. So, SR, 3, and 2. That's the formula for strontium nitride. No? Okay. So, ayan. So, let's have this naman. No? So, dalawa lang sasagutan ko dito kasi again, may answers na naman to. No? So, tignan nyo na lang yung answers. Saan makikita yung answers? Ay, nawala yung nawala yung view. Nasa PowerPoint lang yung answers, no? Download nyo na lang. Hindi ko mapakita yung view dito eh. Basta may answers dyan, no? Okay, so pero magsasagot muna tayo ng dalawa. Technique lang, no? Okay, so anong pwede ko sagutan dito? Ito, 5 and 8, no? Yung iba kasi madali lang eh. Okay, yung 5, Cr2O3. Isip tayo. Yung metal dyan ay si Cr. So that means, yun yung metal, Cr. Yung oxygen sa tabi niya, anion. Cr yung cation, ito yung anion. Saan galing yung 3 na to? Diba nung nag-criss-cross tayo, yung charge niya nilalagay sa baba. So that means this 3 came from Cr. No? Ginagawa natin dito, reverse process. Itong 3 na to, originally, nandito yan sa chromium. So that means the charge of chromium is positive 3. Itong 2 ni chromium dito sa baba, saan galing yan? Sa exponent ni oxygen. So negative 2 yan. Kasi anion siya, kaya negative 2. So Cr3 plus and O2 minus yung ating mga charges. So paano natin papangalanan yung Cr3 plus? So again, chromium is a transition metal. Transition metal siya. So, paano yung papangalanan? Gagamitin ko yung stock method. No? So, paano yung stock method? Copy mo yung name. Chromium. And the parenthesis, no? Indicating the charge. No? Chromium 3. Sir, may ano ba yan? May common name ba yan? Walang common name ang chromium eh. So, stock name talaga yan. Bakit sir walang common name? Kasi sandamukal yung charge ni chromium. May chromium 2, may chromium 3, may chromium 5, may chromium 6. So, hindi gagana yung us pati ik. No? Ayan. So, ganyan lang yung naming dyan. Itong oxygen, negative 2. So, this is monoatomic anion. So, how are we going to name this? Oxide, no? Again, ide kapag monoatomic anion. So, yan. So, the name of this molecule is chromium 3 oxide. No? Okay. So, yung answers na sa PowerPoint, no, just download them. No? And nandun din yung boses ko nagsasalita. No? So, yan. Let's have NaHCO3. Okay. So, let's have this. No? So, kunwari, ganyan, mag-isip ka no, na sino kaya dito yung mga ions na nakita ko na. No? Kasi, kailangan recognition talaga dito. No? As in, you have to recognize your ions. Kaya, you should remember them. If hindi maalala, familiarize them. Kaya I told you na you can use the PowerPoint. No? Scroll kayo doon ng mga rules ng ions. Baka nasabi na natin eh. So, remember, itong HCO3, yan yung rule natin dito, no? Kung naalala nyo pa. Ayun ang HCO3. So, ano yung name ng HCO3? Bicarbonate or hydrogen carbonate, di ba? So yun lang, no. Familiarization talaga, no. So HCO3, sabi ko, familiarize to. Ang name niyan ay hydrogen carbonate, pwede ring bicarbonate, no. So dalawa yung name niya, ito or ito. Yan, so na-familiarize ko sarili ko, ano, yan yung names niya. Etong Na, ano name ng ano, metal ion na yan, no? E di sodium na. So that means the name of NaHCO3 is sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate, no? So ganun lang, no? This is more on recognition. You have to see kung nasan yung anions, nasan yung cations, so on and so forth. Paano nyo ma-achieve yon? You just have to memorize all this, no? If not memorize, familiarize, no? Kasi makikita nyo yan, no? Kaya, pagdating ng quiz, no? Gumamit kayo ng cue card. Okay lang yon. Kasi, alam ko naman, mahirap magkabisado, lalo ngayon, no? Pandemic, nasa bahay tayo. So, in consideration, you can use the PowerPoint, no? While you're taking the quiz, no? So, yun. Hindi ko naman alam ginagawa nyo behind the camera, eh, no? So, kabisaduhin nyo na lang or use this cue card para mas madali kayong makasagot, no? Okay? So, wag na natin pahirapan sarili natin, no? Gamitin na natin yung PowerPoints, no? As guide, no? Okay? So, that's how you name the ions, no? So, again, how to name ionic compounds? Name the cation, name the anion, then combine them, no? How to get the formula? You get the formula by crisscrossing, no? Paano uli yung crisscrossing? Yung charge, no? Yung charge ng cation, ginagawang subscript, no? Ginagawang subscript dito kay anion. Yung charge kay anion, ginagawang subscript kay cation. Pag polyatomic yan, lalagyan mo ng parenthesis. Just to prevent you to multiply that subscript dito sa subscript, no? Wag mo i-multiply, masama 'yon. Sa labas lang ng parenthesis, ha? Okay? So ganun lang, Fe2, SO42, then what else? If the subscripts are reducible, pwede sila i-reduce, no? Pwede sila i-lowest term natin, no? So we will have FeSO4 11. Again, kapag tig-isa lang yung parenthesis, pag tig-isa lang yung subscript, you can erase the parenthesis, no, and the number 1, no. So that's FeSO4. Okay? So ganun ha. So pagsama-samahin lang yung mga rules, no. Okay? So the formulas of acids, yung formulas ng bases, yung formula ng hydrates, no. So hindi naman sila covered ng topic natin, pero you can read them naman, no, or you can watch my PowerPoint na lang or my lessons about this, no. So yun. Anyway, yung PowerPoint ako naman yung nagsasalita dyan, eh. So kung paano tayo mag-discuss dito, ganun din yung maririnig nyo sa PowerPoint, no. So download nyo na lang, pero hindi naman to covered ng ating quiz, no. Kaya nothing to worry naman masyado. Okay, so yan. Mag-skip ako ng part na magba-binary molecules tayo. Okay, so yan. So binary molecules. No? So what are the binary molecules? Kanina kasi we have ionic compounds, di ba? So ano meron sa ionic compounds? May cation, may anion. No? This time, binary molecules, ito yung nagpa-pertain sa mga covalent molecules. No? Meaning walang ions dito. So, paano natin sila papangalanan, no? So, madali lang, no? So, the name of covalent molecules, no? Ito yung mga walang cation, wala ding anion. That is the same as ionic compounds, no? So, same sila dyan, no? Same yung naming, no? Pero, keep in mind, walang cation, walang anion, no? Similar lang yung naming process, no? So, similar lang. Okay. So sir, paano namin malalaman kapag binary molecules? Ganito lang kasi siya kadali. Pag walang charge, tsaka walang cation, walang anion, binary molecule yan. So again, pag sinabing binary, may cation, wala. Pag may anion, wala. May charge, wala din. Okay, so yun yung idea. Pag binary molecule, walang cation, walang anion, walang charge. No? So yun yung mga covalent molecules natin, such as CO2, carbon dioxide, so on and so forth. No? So how are we going to name them? No? Okay, so paano muna pala yung formula? No? How to write the formula? So ganito daw yung pag-write ng formula. No? So in writing the formula of binary molecules, the element farther to the left should be written first, no? Yung oxygen always at the last, no? Kaya yung H2O, ganyan yung formula kasi hydrogen is on the left side of the periodic table. So kailangan mauna yung H talaga. Hindi siya pwedeng OH2, no? X yan. Kaya yung sulat natin sa H2O ay H2O kasi yung hydrogen ay nasa left parati. Kasi nasa left side siya ng periodic table. Yung oxygen naman daw, always written at the last. No? So, always nasa dulo yung oxygen. So, yun yung reason bakit ganyan yung formula ng H2O. Bakit din ganyan yung formula for ClO4, no? So, although this is an ion, pero it will, magpo-follow siya ng writing process, no? Paano sinusulat yung formula nito? So, yung oxygen always at the last, not in the beginning, no? So, we write it as ClO4, not OCl4. No? Oxygen is always at the last, no? Okay. So, ano pa? If both elements are in the same group, meaning wala siya sa left, wala siya sa right, kundi nasa top and down, no? So, ano yung rule, no? You write the heaviest element first. For example, SO2. SO2 is written as SO2, not O2S, because S is heavier than oxygen. No? So yun, at the atomic number kasi yung magmamatter. No? So the bigger the atom, siya yung mauuna. And again, oxygen will always be the last according to the previous rule. No? Oxygen are always in the last part. No? Okay? So ganun lang. No? Okay, so rules. Ito yung rules. No? Medyo madali lang yung rule dito. So ano yung rule? The second element will have the suffix "-ide", no? Pero despite it having the suffix "-ide", it doesn't mean na an ion yon. Again, walang an ion dito. Ang convention lang ay yung second element ay may suffix na "-ide", no? "-ide". Pero walang an ion, okay? So yun. So, what else? We indicate the number of the second element using the Greek prefixes mono, di, tri, tetra, so on and so forth. No? Ano pa? We also use Greek prefixes for the first element. Yun yung unang element na isusulat natin. Pero we do not use the term mono. No? Then the next rule is that if the second element begins with vowels, no, such as oxide, you drop the A and O in the prefix. No? So paano yun? No? So ganito lang. So we have these examples. No? So tignan natin. NF3. Nitrogen is on the left side of the periodic table, so it should be written first. NF3. This is our molecule. Again, wala siyang charge. So, paano ito papangalanan? No? Isa lang yung nitrogen. Should we use mono? Again, bawal gamitin ang mono for the first element. No? So, instead of writing mono nitrogen, we instead write nitrogen lang. Again, no mono for nitrogen. No mono for the first element. No. Okay, the second element is fluorine. Ilang fluorine meron tayo? Tatlo. So we use the prefix tri. Then we use the suffix "-ide", no? So fluoride, trifluoride, no? Ibig sabihin yan, nitrogen, isang nitrogen, F3, meaning non trifluoride, no? Again, we use the suffix "-ide" for the second element, no? But keep in mind na walang cation, walang anion dito. Okay, so yun lang. Cl2O. No? So Cl2O, dalawa yung Cl. Again, yung oxygen always at the last. No? Kaya ganyan yan. No? Cl2O, dalawang chlorine. So dichlorine. Isang oxygen. Mono-oxide dapat, di ba? So hindi siya mono-oxide. Hindi dapat mono-oxide. Bakit? Ano sabi natin? Kapag vowel, yung umpisa ng second element, usually oxygen lang naman yon, you drop the O of the Greek prefix, no? Hindi siya monooxide, no? Instead, buburahin mo yung isang O. Monoxide, no? Bakit? Para maganda lang pakinggan. Yun na yun, no? Okay, so let's have N2O4. No? N2O4, dalawa yung nitrogen, so dinitrogen. Ayun. Apat yung oxygen, tetraoxide. Pero again, A and O, parehas vowel. So ano gagawin mo? Buburahin mo yung A sa prefix, no? Yung prefix yung tinatanggalan ng vowels, no? Hindi yung second element, no? Okay, so the name instead will be tetroxide, not tetraoxide, no? So tetroxide, apat na oxygen, no? Dalawang nitrogen, apat na oxygen. Dinitrogen, tetroxide, no? Okay, so yan. And last one, we have P4S10. Apat na phosphorus, so meaning nun, tetraphosphorus. 10 sulfur. Deca, sulfide. Bakit ide? Kasi sulfur is the second element, no? We use ide for the second element, no? So, ganun lang. So, in summary, the rules are this. We do not use the mono for the first element. We drop the A and the O of the prefix if the second element's name begin with vowel. For example, oxygen. Hindi siya magiging monooxide. Monoxide lang yan, no? So, you will erase one O, no? Yung O sa mono. Then, for tetroxide, hindi siya tetraoxide. Buburahin mo yung A. So, instead of tetraoxide, it will be tetroxide, no? Para maganda pakinggan. And yun. The second element will always have the suffix ide. Fluoride, oxide, oxide, sulfide. Even H2O, no? Yung H2O, ano kaya name niyan? Water, no? Pero using this convention, we can name H2O as dihydrogen monoxide, no? Hindi siya monooxide, no? Monoxide. Or DHMO. Bakit ko na brought up si water? Ito kasi ang importance ng topic na to, no? So important yung topic natin because if you are not aware of the names of your molecules, pwede kayong ma-fake news, no? Madali magpakalat ng fake news lalo na ngayon, digital age, 'di ba? In United States, may prank na ginawa yung mga tao, especially mga scientists na walang magawa sa buhay, no? Ano yung prank nila? Sabi nila sa United States, even i-google nyo, search nyo, DHMO, lalabas yan, no? Pakita ko sa inyo. Diba? Papadisconnect na ako ng globe, diba? DHMO. Ayan, tignan nyo yung mga, yan dihydrogen monoxide parody. So, ano yung nangyari nito? Sa United States to nangyari. Ayan is dihydrogen monoxide dangerous? Blah, blah, blah. Warning, dangers of dihydrogen monoxide. So, bakit importante matuto ng names? Kasi iyan nga, no? Look at the fake news that is existing sa internet, no? So, ayan, medyo nakaka-disappoint kasi yung dihydrogen monoxide, water lang yon. Pero ano yung sinabi ng ibang articles dito? Sabi ng articles dito, basahin natin. Basahin natin, ha? Ano sabi dito? Ito daw yung effects ng dihydrogen monoxide. Accelerating corrosion, nakakalawang daw, nakaka-suffocate daw, aka nakakalunod. Siyempre, tubig yun eh. Ano pa? Sabi daw, dangerous, banned, regulated, no? Pero ano yung highlight nito, no? This demonstrates the scientific literacy lackness, no? So kulang kasi mga tao ng idea sa chemistry, kaya sila nahuhulog sa ganitong mga parodies, no? So importanteng alam nyo yung names ng iyong compounds kasi baka matulad kayo sa mga taong nahulog sa parody na to, sa dihydrogen monoxide, no? Okay, so water lang yan, no? Hindi yan nakakamatay unless malunod ka. Nakakalawang yan. Oo, nakakalawang kasi yung bakal nga kinakalawang sa tubig, 'di ba? So, yun. Pero sa tao, hindi ka naman kakalawangin yan. Bakal ka ba, no? So, yun. So, yun kasi yung nangyari, no? The lackness of scientific education, usually chemistry education, will cause, ano, panic, no? Magkakapanik talaga yung mga tao. Lalo na ngayon, no? Vaccines. Yung vaccines, may mga terms doon na hindi maintindihan yung tao kaya ayaw nila magpabakuna, no? So, X yun. Mali yun. Ang kailangan natin, ang goal natin, no, as scientists, no, and mga professionals in the future ay to educate the people kung ano yung mga history behind those names, no. So yun, so I hope na you understand the PowerPoints, no, yung rules natin. Andito na naman lahat ng rules, no. So yun, revisit nyo na lang kasi to be honest, medyo matagal talaga kabisaduhin to, no. However, our time is limited, no? So, 2 hours lang tayo every week kasi, no? So, I do not have so much time to practice you more on this, no? Kaya ang gagawin ko na lang as my, yung, as consideration ko na lang is yun, you can use this PowerPoint while answering the quizzes, no? So, yan, tignan nyo na lang yung mga formulas. Tignan nyo yung tables dyan, no? You can practice yung mga exercises dito because sa baba, andun yung answer, no? Click nyo lang yung notes. Lalabas sa gilid yung answers, no? Then, sinagutan ko na yan dati pa, no? So, download nyo na lang yung PowerPoint kasi kulang talaga tayo sa oras, no? Kung gusto nyo ko matagal, so wala, no? So, yan. So, in the end, no? Hindi lang to memorization. This is improving scientific literacy para hindi kayo matulad sa mga nabiktima ng DHMO parody. So, ang daming nagreklamo dito. Tignan mo, So, ito yung mga pinagagawa nila eh. Hydroxyl acid daw yan. No? Component ng acid rain. Malamang may tubig sa ulan, di ba? Contributes to greenhouse effect. Actually, yung tubig, yes, nakaka-contribute siya ng greenhouse effect. May cause severe burns. Siyempre, kapag mainit yung tubig, masusunog yung balat mo. Contributes to the erosion of our natural landscape. Di erosion lang yan eh. Basta may tubig, pwede mag-erode yung lupa. No? Accelerates corrosion and rusting. Malamang tubig, nakakalahwang yan. May cause electrical failures. Siyempre, pag nabasa ng tubig yung device mo, masisira yan, di ba? So, yan na. So, ayaw natin matulad sa mga taong nabiktima nitong parody na to. So, please, rewatch this class or hintayin nyo yung YouTube video na i-upload ko. Yun yung compilation ng lessons, no, in preparation for your midterm, which is 3 weeks na lang, no. So yung gumagawa din ako ng short videos para may reviewer kayo sa exams, no. And then yung PowerPoint na to, may voice over ko to. So pag plinay nyo yan, maririnig nyo yung boses ko. So dinidiscuss ko doon yung nangyayari sa lessons, no. So yun lang, no. So yun, patapos na rin yung oras natin, no? So, yun. So, thank you very much for your attendance, no? So, hopefully, may onting tips kayo na nakuha, especially yung sa, onti lang kasi more on memorization talaga to, no? Ano yung mga tips na binigay ko lang sa inyo? Yung paglagay ng parenthesis, no? Important yung paglagay ng parenthesis. Again, masama na yung subscript. Ano yung masama? Ang masama ay yung 3, ilagay mo sa loob doon. Tapos gawin mong NH12 yan. Mali yun ha. So, always place a parenthesis for polyatomics or polyatomic ions ha. So, yun yung mga technique na gusto ko i-share sa inyo. Ano pa? Yung pag-round down, no? So, kanari yan. Pare silang divisible by 2 or pwede sila i-reduce to lowest term. I-reduce nyo to lowest term. No? So, yun yung mga tips no, na kailangan nyo in order to write the formula correctly. No? So, yan. So, yun. Limited lang yung time natin. So, rewatch nyo na lang. No? So, yun. And we're done with chapter 3. No? We are able to discuss ions, how ions are formed, how covalent molecules are formed, no? And yung naming ng ions, and ionic compounds and binary compounds or covalent compounds, no? So, yan. So, that's the coverage of chapter 3. You can also study this in advance kasi ito yung next lesson natin next week, chemical reactions. Pwede nyo na i-advance yan, no? So ako lang din yung nagsasalita dyan. Ako lang yan, no? Huwag kayong matakot. Kaya, yan, you can study this in advance na. So again, the answers are on the notes part, no? Nasa notes lang. Buksan nyo lang yan. Okay, so yun lang. So thank you very much for your attendance, no? So I hope na yung tips ilagay sa isip, no? Huwag kakalimutan ang tips, no? And seryosohin as much as possible yung naming kasi important yan, okay? So yan. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know na lang sa Teams, no? Kasi I believe may next class pa kayo, no? So yan. Then, so thank you very much guys, no? So salamat po. And yung recording nito ay upload